Currently, as we speak, there's a few people having a meeting up in Jackson Hole or wherever it is, and they're powerful people. They determine what the money supply will be and what the interest rate should be, and they have a lot of and they pretend that they're knowledgeable. But the real farce of it all is the pretense is that is all there is. They're pretending that they know how to regulate and run an economy, but they're in big trouble right now. The country's in big trouble. It's made me think about a warning from Mises. He talked about the crack up boom. He talks a lot about the business cycle, but what is the final conclusion? Because I get this question a lot of times. What is the final conclusion of this, and when is it going to come? And Mises deals with this. And the ending, if you don't change your ways, is very, very difficult because it is a crack up. And it's just not a recession. It's just not a depression. It's major economic and political activity that goes on, and a real threat to the people, and a tremendous readjustment of wealth. The wealth is dissipated. A lot of wealth is destroyed. A lot of wealth is taken out of the hands of the middle class. Even though it's been doing that right along, it gets very bad. But this is something people should understand. It's called the crack up boom. And the questions we are asking today is, exactly what it is. And I gave you a little hint there on what the crack up boom is. We'll talk some more about that. But also, are there signs of it? Are there signs of the crack up boom, or is this just another recession? We've gone through recessions. I can remember recessions all the way back to the 40s, right after World War II. Recessions come and go, and because of our situation as having the reserve currency of the world and our willingness to spend endlessly because we can get away with it and we can manipulate interest rates, this has served our interests very well. And the Federal Reserve and Congress, through their mutual agreement, the Fed would print the money and the Congress would help spend the money, but the Fed would also do things secretly. And in a way, you'd have to say, well, they've been relatively, successful in doing this and getting out of the recession. But eventually they can't do it. They run into a problem, and that is the crack up boom. And this is a very serious problem. And that's what we will be talking about today. People finally wake up. They realize it's a fraud and that they've been conned into it. But in the short run, they benefit. Everybody benefits because it's counterfeit and people are accepting it. And if you think of it in terms of counterfeiting, and people reckon, hey, all that money we have, it's counterfeit. So they want to, boy, can I pass it on? They try to pass it on and buy stuff. And of course, that leads, to the real crash. And it's a confidence factor, which I think is very important. What we're describing here can't be calculated by the Keynesian. They can't, even if they agreed with these cycles, they can't say, well, we have this computer is going to measure the money supply here and the regulations here, put it all together and have 17 pages of formula and say, well, on January 10th, the whole thing comes about. There's a subjective element there, and it is a confidence factor. And once the people understand it's not going to go away, the expectations causes the momentum. And because on the early years of the inflation, the people have too much trust and too much hope in the government that it goes longer than anybody dreams it should. But then when it hits, it's worse than they ever expected. But of course, people like Mises and other Austrian economists aren't too shocked that it is that bad. It's the bigger surprise that it lasted so long. But it is not easy to correct. It is not just an economic matter. It's a political matter. It's a financial matter. it is a matter of social stability. And why we're in such a mess today is that is on the horizon. At the same time, it's aggravated tremendously with this great bubble of regulations with lockdown, this whole episode in the last year and a half with COVID. COVID could have been handled quite differently. There would have been serious problems, but it wouldn't have been done the way it was, and it wouldn't be a reflection of the mismanagement of medical care. So we have mismanagement of monetary affairs and interest rates coming along with the mismanagement of medical necessity for private medicine and individuals solving the problem, rather than the bureaucrats and a single doctor that represents all the doctors of the country, which right now, though, I think there are good signs, because I think we're moving into that waking up period. And people are waking up. And when they wake up, Mises says, it ends, which is very dangerous. But it also means that the people who have made plans for a reform, more people will wake up, because you have to get support from the people. Because if you don't get support from the people and having good reforms, you end up with authoritarianism much worse than what we have today.